Hi there, my name is Heidi Vance. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a therapeutic yoga instructor. And what that means is that as you move through the postures with me today, maybe you find that some of them are for you, some of them may not be for you. But I want you to take whatever feels right in your skin, whatever feels right for your body today. So laying your mat out somewhere that feels comfortable and safe and gives you an opportunity to just get into the quiet, the stillness. Today we're going to go ahead and get started on our backs. It's coming down to your back. Maybe pull your knees into your chest if that feels good for you. It's kind of rocking side to side. Just beginning to notice the body, feel the body. Perhaps even taking a little bit of an inventory as we begin our practice today. Deep inhales through the nose. Long exhales out the mouth. If it feels okay to you, you can allow the legs to come long. The feet just kind of naturally splay open here. Just in a place where your hands are maybe alongside your body, or perhaps you come one hand to heart, one hand to the belly. Just noticing what works for you. Again, no judgment, no shame. Just coming here with an open heart, an open mind, willing to be mindful and checking in with yourself. Where are you at as we begin today? Does your mind feel busy? Does it feel occupied? Does it feel cluttered? What is the mental chatter that you observe as you reflect? Inhaling, exhaling. Just taking some space here to build into a habitual pattern to the breath. This breath of life, it sustains us, it keeps us going. It precedes every movement that we make, both in life and also on our mats today. If it feels right and your body's craving a little more movement, maybe you begin to just come long, a long body stretch, perhaps pointing into the toes, reaching back. And then maybe you bring the hands together, pressing the palms away from the body, flexing into the feet if that feels right. Getting strong in the core. Maybe inhale again, doing that sequence a few times, just inhaling long body, exhaling hands, face outward, toes flex, getting strong. And then if you feel right, you can hinge over to the right, just kind of a subtle hinge. Maybe you hinge over to the left. Just kind of playing with this posture here. Perhaps a few more of those, just inhaling up, over to the right, over to the left. Moving slowly and with intention today. Letting the breath precede every single movement. When it feels right, you can move the knees into the chest and begin just to rock side to side. This rocking sensation really soothes us from the inside out. And then when you feel right, just go ahead and pull one leg in, extend the opposite leg out, flexing that bottom leg. It can stay there, rooted into the ground, or it can hover just above. Take that knee that's in and just kind of press it into the center of your heart. Keeping both feet flexed and active. Then when it feels right, take that left arm and kind of just allow that leg to open up out to the left side. Again, both feet are flexed and active here. And then maybe you extend that foot back up, point and flex, just giving a little bit more movement to the foot. Maybe your hands come behind that hamstring, just kind of tie behind. Maybe you gently pull that leg in toward the body. Really firing through that heel, reaching through that heel, walking yourself up to the ankle if that feels right. Taking it just a little bit deeper. There's no wrong choice today, just making decisions for your body that feel good. When it feels right, releasing that back down. And then taking that knee across the body to the opposite side. Letting that right hand come all the way out to the right side, gazing over the right fingertips as you allow that knee to just fall over. Good. Extending that leg back up when it feels right, and then slowly and carefully you're going to lift the opposite leg all the way up, using your core really strong, keeping both feet flexed and active. When you get to the top, give yourself a moment just to create some movement in the feet, pointing and flexing, maybe small circles with the ankles, whatever feels right. And then when you're ready, allow that right leg to begin to drop down all the way to the mat, or maybe it hovers just above. Take that opposite knee, let it pull into your heart space. So again, kind of toward the center of your chest here. Holding the posture, never the breath. Good, and then maybe you extend that leg tall toward the heavens here if you wish. Flex through that heel, point it if that feels good. Again, creating a little movement. Maybe the hands come to the back of the hamstring and you kind of just pull that leg in toward the body, keeping your shoulders rooted, your glutes rooted. If it feels right, you can walk yourself up. Just make sure your heart is pressing forward. You're not really rounding into the spine too much. Holding the posture, never the breath. Carefully, when it feels right, begin to walk those hands back down. And just let that knee open up here. Feeling that opening, keeping both feet flexed and active. That engages the entire leg, hugging the muscle to the bone. Good. And then if it feels right, just go ahead and draw it back over to the opposite side, coming to a twist, letting the left arm go out to the left side and gazing over the left fingertips as you allow that knee to just feel heavy, like gravity pull it down toward the earth. Lots of breath. Moving yourself back to center when it feels right, extending that leg tall back toward the heavens, and then lifting slowly and intentionally that opposite leg up to meet it. Giving yourself space here to create movement in the feet. One more time, just noticing what the body needs. And then gently pull the knees back into the chest. Maybe you make small circles with those knees. Giving yourself freedom to choose the movement that works for your body. We're going to just kind of rock back and forth. I want you to rock gently. I'm on a hard surface here. So just kind of notice what your body needs according to where you're at, what you need, and what feels right. And then moving yourself slowly up to a simple seated at the top of your mat, and then coming around, we're going to come to a tabletop position here. You want the hands, the wrists directly below the shoulders, the knees below the hips, really lined up here. The fingers are spread wide and active here. Just moving the hips whatever way sees fit for your body, maybe a wagging of the tail, maybe just kind of an up and back. And then when you're ready, we're going to inhale, begin to take the gaze high, arch the back, but draw the navel up toward the spine. So you're really strong in the core here. You're not letting the belly just dip low. Maybe a slight bend in the elbows. And then when you feel ready, take the chin to the chest, round out the spine. Get as tall as you can as you draw that navel up toward the spine here. Big exhale. Maybe you shake the head yes and no. Inhaling back into cow. Once again, arching the back, letting the glutes come wide, and then tuck the tail, tuck the chin and into the chest. Maybe the head shakes yes and no, just relieving any tension in the neck. Coming to a neutral spine whenever it feels right for your body, and extend the right arm straight out. I want the fingers wide here. What that's going to do is activate the entire arm. Keeping the breath moving, preceding every movement here. Exhale, swing it through. As you inhale, reach it high. Really strong. You want to try and keep your hips level here. And then extend back forward with the breath. Finding a rhythm here. Extend high, inhale again. Exhale, bring it back forward. Good. Maybe you stay here if this feels good to you. Maybe you find yourself just needing a little more stability, craving a little more stability. You temple the hand down, that's fine as well. And then if this feels right, I want you to stay here. If you wish for something a little bit different, you can extend those opposite toes back. Maybe they even plant down on the earth. Just finding a little stability here. If you wish to lift both the leg and the arm, or maybe one at a time, giving yourself that option here. Everything I'm doing today is optional. So maybe you extend, inhale, exhale, pull a knee in, meet the elbow, opposite knee, just kind of crunching in, engaging the core here. Just a few of those, and then let that hand come back down, planting it down, extend those left toes over to the right side. Inhale, you want to get long first and then extend over the right. The gaze comes over the right shoulder, looking for the left toes. That heel comes over the ball of the big toe, really extending over, getting strong in the leg, and then extending it back to neutral. Inhale. We're going to shift down to the forearms here, not easy. I want you just to feel this. Make sure the heart is shining forward. Maybe the leg or the heel lifts just a little tighter. A little higher. And then maybe you bring it in. Once again, kind of knee to nose action here, extending into the core muscles. Exhaling as you round, inhaling as you extend, and then extending back into the leg. Perhaps you make small circles with that heel, both directions, and then perhaps it's time to bend into the knee if that feels right for your hip, opening the hip just a little bit, creating a little movement if you want a little circles with the knee here. Your choice, your way. Extending back into the heel, squaring off the hips, and then drawing that knee back to the ground, rooting it down, moving the hips back. Child's pose. This is your rest. If you wish, you can even take those hands, kind of bring them through the legs, letting one cheek come to the mat, giving yourself the opportunity to find some rest here. Lots of breath, holding the posture, never the breath. So in my journey, these past few weeks, we've been in Hawaii. We're a full-time traveling family, but we've found ourselves rooted in Hawaii during this quarantine situation, and we've enjoyed our time here. But what I've noticed is that there's this part of me, this creative part, that feels like it's lacking. Not necessarily because I have a standard for myself, but rather this creativity deep within me that needs an outlet. I do lots of creativity with my kids all day long. But I find myself just craving the creativity for my own process. It's a way for me to make sense of my story, a way for me to own my process. So I want you to be creative as we move today. I want you to give yourself the freedom to find what works for your body, empowering yourself to take the postures that feel right to you and pulling back in the areas that don't. Moving back to that table, shifting the hips, maybe extending the arm out, or perhaps just letting it settle in a templed posture on the floor. Either way, moving with me if you feel ready, maybe extending that arm up high, gazing at those fingers, letting the fingers spread wide and active. Inhale. Exhale, bring it through, keeping the fingers wide. And once again, inhale up, high toward the heavens. Reaching, keeping the hips aligned and stable here as much as you can while you open that heart. Extend the arm back forward. Again, templing it down if you need that stability. Just listen to your body. There's no wrong choice here. Maybe the toes come straight back. Maybe they come down to the earth. Finding your way, your choice. If they're extended, maybe you begin to bring them together. Opposite elbow, opposite knee, rounding into the spine, creating a little bit of a core engagement here. Making sure the fingers and the foot stay active. And then allowing that left hand to come down. Taking the right toes over, extending first, inhaling, pulling up out of the shoulders, and looking over that left shoulder for that right toe. Maybe extending that heel even further over the ball of the big toe. Getting as much engagement from the leg as you can here. Not easy. Pulling it back to neutral, letting that leg extend back, coming down to the forearms if that feels right for you. Maybe extend that heel just a little higher. Then pulling it in if you wish, knee to nose. Again, engaging the core, warming up the back. Exhaling as you come in, inhaling as you get tall. And then perhaps if you feel good, you can extend into a hip opener, letting those toes come out to the right side. Maybe making circles both directions. Bending into the knee if you desire something a little bit different. Maybe that knee makes some circles as well. Whatever movement you're craving, give yourself that freedom to take it here. Extending back to that leg, squaring off the hips, drawing the knee back in once again, pulling the hips back. Getting them in line with your knees. We're coming to a modified vinyasa, so coming all the way down to your belly this time, and then allow one cheek to come to the mat. The palms come alongside the hips, facing up. Just finding a rest in this posture for a few moments. So I've been studying some of Brené Brown's work around creativity, and one of her quotes says, "Unused creativity is not benign. It metastasizes, creates shame and resentment, judgment, rage, sorrow." Holding the posture, never the breath, feeling the belly against the mat. So we were created to create. There's no doubt about that. When you feel ready, putting the hands below the shoulders, pushing yourself back up the same way you came down. Moving into the hips once again. Extending the right toes back if that feels good. Maybe they plant on the earth. Maybe they stay just where they are, and then pull that right leg up between the hands. I want you to plant the left hand down, extend the right hand high, looking at the fingertips and just noticing the opening of the heart. Maybe you just take your hand to the upper thigh and begin to twist yourself around just a little bit. If it feels right, perhaps you even lift that back knee up just for a moment, feeling the engagement in this twist. Lots of breath, not easy. If your knee is lifted, go ahead and extend it back down. Meet again, everyone else here. We're going to bring that hand down on the opposite outside of that leg and then hinge it back into a half split here. You can keep the toes either rooted on the ground. You can extend the toes up toward the heavens, flexing into the foot and just bowing out over that leg, keeping the heart as your guide. So your heart is pressing toward the leg with every exhale. Deepening the posture and then slowly letting yourself bend back into that front knee. Good. We're going to bring that right knee back, meaning the left again coming down on the hips, and maybe you come to a full vinyasa if you're ready for that, or perhaps you stay in the modified up dog or cobra here. Maybe you let the neck just relax down, rolling it side to side. Super good for those trapezius muscles. We carry a lot of stress on our shoulders, so just giving yourself the opportunity to let that go and then pressing yourself back. Child's pose. So unused creativity is comparable to a tumor, right? It's not benign, it metastasizes, it grows. It's detrimental to our being if we're not using our creativity and its potential. So continuing with your movement, if you feel ready for movement once again, bringing yourself back to tabletop, just shifting into those hips and then extending the opposite leg, that left leg back, deeply flexing the foot and then pulling it up between the hands. Planting the right hand, this time the left hand comes high, reaching toward the heavens. Maybe this feels good. Maybe you stay here. If you want something different, maybe you twist a little bit by placing that left hand on the left upper thigh, or perhaps lifting that back leg or the back knee up. Your choice, your way. There's no wrong choice here. Giving your body the freedom to do what feels good. Coming down out of that when you feel ready, dropping that back knee. And then extending back into half splits once again. Planting the hands on either side. Exhale. Press the heart toward the leg. Even if you go an inch, just letting your body speak to you here. Leading with the heart, being vulnerable in our heart space. Coming back by bending those knees back once again. Draw that left foot all the way over to the right side and then drop that knee down. We're going to come into a pigeon here. So plant the hands, temple them, get tall first. So pull up out of those shoulders and then gently, as you exhale, walk yourself down, finding your edge. Maybe this is enough. Maybe you raise your hands, just an attitude of surrender. Where are there spaces where maybe you could engage your creativity on a deeper level? We are all artistic in our own way. We were created to create. Holding the posture, never the breath. Staying on top of the posture so you're making sure that that right hip is deeply pressing into the mat, heavy with gravity. The next exhale, gently walk the hands back up. Inhale, templing the hands. You're going to plant the hands down, plant that back knee down, and then gently and slowly, on the exhale, you're going to begin to lift that knee, bring it up and back, and then just make small circles of that hip. The freedom of movement here. And then when it feels right, just plant that knee back down, bring some movement to the hips side to side, wagging the tail. And the right leg comes straight back. It slowly moves itself forward. That right knee plants behind that right hand. Get tall first, so make sure you're on top of the posture. Left hip presses in. Inhale, breathe in, and then as you exhale, draw the body down. Pigeon on the opposite side. So for me, I've noticed that there are so many areas where I'm creative. It could be cooking, it could be baking, it could be writing or drawing, painting. could even be just a creative way of thinking. But what I've found is that when that part of me feels stifled, I see the sorrow, I see grief and rage. I see these parts of me just kind of welling up. Maybe you feel good here. Maybe you want to stay here a few more breaths. You can pause the video at any time and do that. If it feels right, you can move with me and begin to slowly inhale. Get tall once again, plant the hands down and then press into that back knee. Bring that knee up and back, bringing some movement, some circles, whatever you need to kind of move that hip once again. And just letting the legs come up toward the front of the mat, pulling yourself back once again to your backs, pulling the knees into the chest. Maybe you just kind of rock side to side here. Again, noticing what your body needs, empowering yourself to make choices that feel right in your skin. If you wish to move with me, you can plant those feet just in front of the hips, about hip width distance apart. We're going to plant the hands down as well. And then you're going to inhale first. Keeping your gaze fixed up, you're going to exhale, bring the hips high toward the heavens. Maybe it feels good here. This is perfect. I want you to stay here. If you want something different, take the hands, roll the shoulders under, and take the hands and clasp them at the base of the glutes. On the floor, pressing into the mat with the backside of your arms, lifting a little higher in the hips. Maybe you lift the heels off the mat as well, creating some height here. Extending the heels down if they're up, unweaving those arms if they're together, and then slowly, one vertebrae at a time, bring your glutes back to the mat. Soles of the feet move together and the knees come wide. Just reversing the posture, giving yourself a break. Noticing the breath. Maybe the hand comes to the belly and the heart to feel the tangible breath here. Maybe not. So we want to use our creativity. We want to engage with the creative parts of ourselves to feel alive. If you're ready to move, once again, bring the soles of the feet back to the mat. One more bridge posture, the same way we just did. So maybe you inhale and exhale, the hips come high. Maybe you clasp the hands below the glutes. Maybe the heels lift. Your choice, your way. The only requirement here is the breath. That is movement enough for your practice, giving yourself the freedom and empowerment to choose what feels right for your body today. Leave the rest. Coming down out of that, slowly and gently, carefully, one vertebrae at a time, and then the knees come wide once again. Maybe you windshield wiper the legs if that feels good. It's another way just to relieve the tension in the back. Then when it feels right, take the arms out in a T. Let the knees just fall over to one side. Gazing over the opposite fingertips, creating a twist here. And if it feels right, you want to take that opposite leg up on top of that thigh. You can do that as well, just deepening the posture here a little bit. Just noticing how that weight, that gravity creates a little bit more stretch in your twist. Taking that heel off the leg if it's there, and then slowly extending the legs up and over to the opposite side. Maybe you take the heel over that opposite thigh. Perhaps the gaze comes over the opposite arm. Just settle into the posture here. It's a simple way that we can create. We can empower ourselves to do what feels right, what feels good in our skin, but it requires we first deepen our breath and become mindful of our inner experience. And weaving that here, bringing the knees back towards center, giving yourself the opportunity to take any final breaths, any final movements that you need here before we settle into a neutral breath. Shavasana, coming into this resting posture. You can set your knees over a bolster if that feels good. Your knees can bend, the soles of the feet come to the mat, knees kiss in the center. If your feet are down, let your feet splay open naturally. Letting your breath come back to normal and neutral. The tongue peels away from the roof of the mouth. The jaw falls naturally open. Just settling the mind here. Perhaps checking in with your mental chatter and just realigning it with truth that you were created to be creative. Where in your heart, where in your mind, where in your body do you need to ignite that creativity once again? How can you make space in your day, in your week, to let that creativity have a voice once again? I pray that that creativity would allow you to process your emotions, your experience, and own your story. Staying here as long as you like.